Chapter 6: A Deadly Encounter. As Yuan and Adam ascend to the second floor of the dungeon, they can feel a sense of heightened tension in the air. They know that the monsters here will be stronger and more difficult to defeat than they faced on the previous floor. As they cautiously move forward, they begin to assess the type of enemy they are likely to face. They quickly notice that the monsters on this floor tend to move in groups, making them more formidable opponents than those they encountered on the previous floor. Yuan and Adam exchange a worried glance, knowing that they need to work together more closely than ever before if they hope to succeed in their quest. In addition to their numbers, the monsters on this floor emit a strong aura presence that seems to permeate the air around them. Yuan and Adam carefully observe their movement patterns, looking for any weaknesses they can exploit. They realize that they will need to be both swift and strategic in their attacks if they hope to survive this deadly encounter. As they brace themselves to confront the pack of werewolf-like creatures, Yuan activated his Con ability, which allowed him to extend his aura over a wider area. This allowed him to detect even the slightest movements, giving him greater situational awareness and control over the surrounding environment. Meanwhile, Adam focused on boosting his aura, increasing the power of his attacks. As he analyzed the beasts, he realized that their fur made them resistant to physical attacks, so he decided to use fire to deal maximum damage. As the creatures closed in, Adam unleashed a powerful fire attack, engulfing the pack in flames. The beasts howled in pain as they tried to put out the flames, but Adam's attack had dealt significant damage. However, the pack was not defeated yet. They regrouped and started to attack again, this time with even greater ferocity. Yuan and Adam kept their composure, adapting to the situation. As the battle raged on, Yuan activated his aura flow, giving him the upper hand to see through the weakness of enemy. Meanwhile, Adam focused on finding the most effective ways to deal damage, and Yuan looked at Adam and smiled, after that Adam using his aura to strengthen his body and this time toss Yuan in the air. As Yuan was tossed in the air, he used his aura to bolster his entire body, turning his muscles into steel-like durability. He concentrated most of his aura on his fist and punched the ground, creating a massive 20 feet deep crater. This attack weakened the beasts and trapped them in the crater. While still in the middle of the crater, Yuan filled his lungs with aura and shouted to create a sound wave, as he knew the werewolves' hearing was incredibly sensitive. He suggested to Adam that it was the most effective way to disorient them. The werewolf leader emerged, shouting in anger at the duo, and unleashed a black aura that enveloped his body, causing his claws to transform into aura blades. He dashed towards Yuan, who quickly poured his aura into his arms to defend against the attack. However, the werewolf leader swiftly appeared behind him and taunted him, claiming he was too slow. Fortunately, Yuan managed to switch his aura to his neck just in time to avoid the attack. Yuan was caught off guard by the incredible speed of his opponent, and he couldn't help but wonder how he had failed to detect the werewolf's movements. Meanwhile, Adam was locked in a fierce battle with another werewolf, who possessed an unusually potent aura presence. The werewolf taunted Yuan, warning him not to bother about his friend, who would meet the same fate as him. Enraged, Yuan channeled a massive amount of aura into his fist and activated his enhancement ability. This time, he focused on his movement speed instead of defense and dashed towards the werewolf leader, launching a series of attacks. However, the enemy was easily able to dodge Yuan's punches and smirked, taunting him not to waste his time. But then, there was an explosion on the side of the werewolf leader, shocking him. The explosion continued all over the area, and Yuan said not to underestimate him. He revealed that he knew the werewolf leader was fast, but he couldn't evade the impact of the explosion. The power generated by the impact had been compared to that of a small missile, and Yuan apologized for using a technical term that the werewolf leader probably didn't understand. The werewolf leader was stunned by the power of the explosion and looked at Yuan in disbelief. Yuan took the opportunity to charge at the leader once again, this time launching a more powerful attack that connected with the werewolf's body. The impact of the attack sent the werewolf flying, and it crashed into a nearby wall, leaving a gaping hole. Meanwhile, Adam was still fighting his own battle with the other werewolf. The creature's aura was incredibly strong, making it difficult for Adam to land a hit. But Adam was determined to find a weakness in the creature's defense. He noticed that the werewolf's movements were predictable, and he took advantage of this by waiting for the right moment to strike. As Adam prepared to land a powerful blow, the werewolf suddenly transformed, growing in size and strength. Its aura intensified, and Adam realized that he was facing a much more formidable opponent than he had initially thought. With no other choice, Adam focused all his energy on the ground his next attack, hoping that it would be enough to take down the enemy. Yuan, on the other hand, continued to battle the werewolf leader. The leader was now covered in a black aura, and his attacks were becoming more unpredictable. Yuan knew that he had to end the fight quickly before the enemy could regain his strength. He used his ability All Senses, but still Yuan cannot predict the enemy's movement, and the last option he poured all his remaining aura into one final attack palm blast, and it didn't hit the werewolf leader due to its incredible speed, but it causes a massive explosion that sent shockwaves throughout the entire dungeon. The explosion was so powerful that it destroyed the entire werewolves area, and Yuan and Adam find an opportunity and forced to make a hasty retreat, and they used their EVO to suppress their aura so that it will be difficult for the enemy to detect them. As they rested, they discussed the enemy they had encountered. Yuan pointed out that the enemy on this floor was using more advanced aura manipulation techniques. Despite using his senses and being able to foresee the future for up to 5 seconds, Yuan was still unable to detect the enemy's future attacks. Additionally, the beasts on this floor were not like the ones on the first floor. Adam acknowledged that their current strategy would not work on this floor. They realized that they needed to be more cautious and coordinated in their attacks since the monsters would be stronger and more dangerous. They decided to focus on teamwork and use their abilities to complement each other's strengths. However, they were concerned because they only knew a fraction of the advanced manipulation techniques and were unsure if they should proceed further into the second floor of the dungeon. Yuan and Adam discussed ways to improve their advanced aura manipulation techniques. Yuan's specialization and enhancement allows him to enhance his physical and mental abilities, while Adam's specialization in elemental weaving allows him to manipulate the properties of his key energy. Both of them already have a basic understanding of aura manipulation. They also discussed their individual techniques for maintaining their aura to create a protective barrier around their bodies. Yuan, being an enhancer, can enhance his abilities even further through his aura, while Adam can also create a protective barrier, but it is less effective against opponents with advanced key manipulation since it can only block up to 30 to 50% compared to the enhancer's ability to block 70 to 100%. Despite this, they are still determined to find ways to improve their skills and work together effectively in their adventures through the dungeon. Adam concluded that their enemy has dual affinity, as he observed during their encounter. He noted that the enemy has both enhancement and materialization abilities, making it difficult to fight against. During their fight with the werewolf, Adam noticed that the enemy seemed like a shadow and that when he used his con ability, the enemy didn't have a physical body and was made of pure ki. This led him to believe that there might be a mind weaver controlling the enemy or that it was a special skill possessed by the enemy. Adam realized that they needed to enhance their skills further, but that they would have to wait until they meet Ruby. However, the concern is whether they would survive long enough to meet her. Yuan nodded in agreement with Adam's conclusion. He knew that facing an enemy with dual affinity was going to be challenging, especially since they only knew a fraction of their enemy's abilities. They both knew they had to step up their game if they were to survive exploring the second floor of the dungeon. Yuan suggested that they should try to learn from their previous encounters and use them to their advantage. He proposed that they should focus on their teamwork and use their abilities to complement each other's strengths. For instance, Yuan could enhance Adam's ki energy to make it more effective against the enemy, while Adam could use his elemental abilities to create distractions for Yuan to land a decisive blow. Adam agreed with Yuan's suggestion and added that they should also try to anticipate their enemies' moves by learning more about aura manipulation. They both agreed to spend some time training and enhancing their abilities before they proceeded further. This is the end of this chapter. Thank you for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe.